I grew up in a military family. Mom's was military, pops was military. So I grew up under that mind control that they had to endure. And it's challenging to escape that mind control. So I'm going to speak with care from now on if I can. I encourage you all not to be emotional, and I work on it as well. If you're military and you're currently a police officer, you should not be a police officer. I would consider another profession. Unless you've been able to break that MK Ultra mind control that you went through basic training and that endured throughout your military service. There appears to be some orders that are going to be coming down the pipeline that you may have trouble, you may find challenging to disregard. Okay. These vaccines that they're trying to make mandatory, and they're starting with Colorado of all places. When marijuana became legal in Colorado, you all flooded there. The numbers speak for itself. And your legislators met this past Sunday to discuss new legislation to get rid of the religious waivers for vaccines. That's a problem. And if you live in Colorado, you need to check into that. Um, there will be a time where you're going to be asked to follow an order that you might have a problem with if you were not wearing a uniform and the people in uniform were knocking on your door. And you got some choices to make. Military people, police people, you have some choices to make. And believe me, from personal experience, I know how challenging it is to be faced with a choice like that and have to make a decision that requires you to be able to think for yourself. Be honest with yourselves. Remember your basic training. Remember the first day you got off the bus. Remember how you would talk to. Remember how you would treat it. And remember that when you first realized that it wasn't personal, they were treating everybody the same way. Get on the ground, give me 50 push-ups. Think about it. Think about it. Remember that. Remember some of those orders some of you followed in other countries that may have had you torn under normal circumstances, but because of your training were easily to follow. And then imagine it's your family in a position facing those men in uniform and see if you feel the same way. Does the government own your body? Question. The COVID thing has been exposed. Let's talk about that real quick. I mean, think about it. You had to stay inside for 2, 3 months. And what was allowed to happen, people were allowed to gather in large crowds in protests all across the country. They were allowed to. Now, yeah, there were riots and stuff like that, but for the demonstrations that were peaceful, people were allowed to assemble and protest. None of them were social distancing. None of them got sick. None of them are going to get sick. That's a problem because that is the evidence you needed to know and see for yourself that the social distancing, was a scam. The social distancing was just in the covering of your face with masks was designed to see who are successfully under MK Ultra and who's not. And you all willingly participated by showing your allegiance to your mind control. And now it's time to consider breaking your mind control and choose the reality you wish to experience. This body belongs to me. Bill Gates will not be vaccinating me. And I don't care how much money is offered. The rumor is, it's a rumor because I have not found the factual documents yet. $20,000 to allow yourself to be chipped. What's no $100,000, $1,000,000, $10 million, $300 million, $1 trillion. It's not enough. You're not chipping me. So you're not chipping me, and we're not afraid of death. Now we're not fighting you. We want to be able to provide for our families and enjoy our weekends. Those of us who have weekends off. None of this other stuff matters. And now that you have gone out of your way to show us that you choose presidents years before the election even occurs, we're not interested in voting. Your system doesn't mean anything to us anymore. We're not interested in voting. I'm surprised people are still paying their mortgages. That's another video. Because when you took away the jobs and told people to stay in the house, the people who continued to take from their savings to pay their mortgages, it just demonstrated further that they were under mind control. You're using taxpayer dollars to enslave the population and pit white against black. And that backfired on you. Let me tell you how that backfired, because those who did protest against my suggestion, well, black and white mixed within there. Yeah, now they were paid people to cause trouble. We get that. The Soros clan, we get that. But there were a lot of good white people out there with locking arms and getting on a knee and all that other stuff. And I don't believe in getting on a knee for nobody, but I understand the message that was being conveyed. The mind control exists on levels. There's levels to this. There's levels to this. So your TV images didn't have white people fighting black people or white people against black people. You had some of that. You did. You had some blacks, just do some horrendous things or whatever during the riots. We're not talking about riots now. We're talking about the marches that occurred that were peaceful. You had blacks and white out there together, and that's a problem for the deep state. That's a problem for the people behind this Agenda 21 and Agenda 30. It's a problem. I believe the main problem is something that's not being discussed anywhere. Apparently, the Constitution of the United States is a contract. It's a contract that allows these foreigners to do business here. And that contract has to be renewed every 50 years, apparently. And apparently the last time it was renewed is 1986, which would mean that the next time it would be renewed or up for vote again is 2036. That's why maybe that's why Agenda 20 and Agenda 31 is so important. Because you have to get rid of the heirs of the states. Because people may become aware of the contract needing to be renewed every 50 years. Maybe. Somebody who's really good at research, look into that. Okay? I'm working way too many hours for money that's already belongs to me. Another video. Maybe that's why all of this genealogy testing was popular over the last 8 years, to identify who these heirs are so that we can get rid of them. It's not the first time it was done. People who were victims of Agent Orange, yeah, they were awarded money, but they hadn't been paid yet. And the reason is the government's waiting for them to die off. Then they don't have to pay them. They're heirs to the state, indigenous heirs to the estate here. And it's not the little red people and the $5 Indians you were taught in school. When Christopher Columbus got here, he found people here that looked like us. So we're not going to make this about race. We know, and we're telling, and we're sharing. Thank you for coming. God bless you. Good night.